Man, so many chart analysts with seriously impressive track records are saying this market cycle is going to absolutely blow 2021 out of the water. And honestly, I'm totally here for it. Here's the thing. If these guys are onto something, then everything we've witnessed with XRP so far, that's just been a tiny little appetizer. We're talking crumbs compared to what could be coming. Actually, there's this really well-known chart analyst who dropped a prediction today that XRP is headed straight for $11. And you know what? When I hear these analysts calling for double-digit XRP action this cycle, I'm not even slightly shocked. The whole $20 to $30 range everyone's throwing around, that's not some wild fantasy. It's actually pretty reasonable when you think about it. Look, it's definitely not some crazy fantasy. Do I know for sure it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I'll be the first to admit I have no clue where the price is actually headed. But here's what I do know. When you look at what's happened before, this kind of speculation isn't unreasonable at all. It's totally within the realm of possibility, which is honestly pretty exciting to think about. We might be sitting right on the edge of something completely bonkers if history decides to repeat itself. And so far, it's been following the same playbook. Thinking it's just going to suddenly stop here feels like total nonsense to me. I really believe we're just getting started. Quick disclaimer though, I need to be super clear about this. I don't have any financial background whatsoever. This isn't financial advice, and you absolutely shouldn't buy or sell anything based on what I'm saying here. So this video I put together, it's absolutely packed with XRP insights from like 10 or 11 different chart analysts, and you're going to eat this stuff up. Right now, as I'm recording, XRP's sitting at $3.20. Yeah, it's down a bit, but nothing to freak out about. Bitcoin's actually climbing, which is exactly what we want to see. This thing, man, it's going to break out eventually. We're talking full-on parabolic madness. When's it going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm betting sooner rather than later. That's basically a lock at this point. Honestly, I'm trying to think of any chart analyst I follow who thinks it won't happen, and I'm coming up blank, like literally zero. And I've been super picky about which analysts I actually pay attention to. Look, none of these guys are perfect. They'll all get stuff wrong because, well, everyone does. But their overall track records, they're absolutely solid. When you've got a whole crew of analysts like this all saying the same thing, they're almost always spot on. I'd be genuinely shocked if we don't see Bitcoin go completely parabolic this cycle, and probably sooner than we think. So we've got Bitcoin sitting pretty at $118,539, and Ethereum just crushed past $4,200. Actually, get this, within the last 24 hours, it hit over $4,300. How's that for a dead coin, right? Remember earlier this year when everyone was calling it dead at $1,400? I told you guys that was complete nonsense because, well, it was complete nonsense. And boom, here we are at $4,300. Now, here's why I'm making a big deal about this. Historically, when Ethereum starts moving like this, it kicks off alt season. That's exactly why this has me so pumped. Look, I don't really care how high Ethereum itself goes. It's not one of my biggest positions personally, but I've been holding it since way back in 2017. What gets me excited is knowing what this means for the rest of my coins, especially XRP. When Ethereum does its thing like this, everything else is about to go absolutely bananas. So here's this post from the Nidgene Tropic account. It's run by the co-founders of Glassnode, you know, the on-chain analytics guys. All they wrote was the calm before the storm. And man, we're definitely in one of those moments where that just feels spot on, doesn't it? We're basically seeing sideways price action everywhere right now. Calm before the storm. Yeah, that pretty much nails it. I have a feeling we're going to look back at this exact moment and be like, yep, that was right before everything went completely ham. So get this, ChartN posted something with TechDev that caught my attention, and this guy has 543,000 followers listening to what he says. He's looking at this total 2 BTC chart, which is basically the entire crypto market. Well, the top 125 coins anyway, but with Bitcoin stripped out, all measured against Bitcoin itself. Pretty much altcoins versus Bitcoin. Now, here's where it gets interesting. He's saying we might need to wrap our heads around the idea that altcoin dominance is actually breaking out of a massive 7-year correction period. Get this, he thinks that whole 2021 run wasn't even the real deal, just a blip. He's pointing to the 7-year falling wedge pattern on the RSI and saying it could trigger the first real explosive altcoin move we've seen in 8 years. If this guy's actually onto something here, then honestly, none of us are thinking nearly big enough about what's coming. I've been following some analysts who are totally convinced that what we're seeing right now looks way more like 2017 than 2021. And I've been pointing this out here and there over the past few weeks and months. So here's what they're thinking. What we're seeing unfold right now, it's going to look way more like 2017 than 2021. And wow, that would be absolutely massive, because if you were there for 2017, or even if you just know what went down, 2017 was absolutely insane compared to 2021. Don't get me wrong, 2021 was a wild ride. But if they're right about this hunch, nobody's ready for what's coming. This is where things get really interesting with Bitcoin. And look, I'm not making predictions here. I have no clue if this will actually happen, but this is exactly where those wild predictions about Bitcoin hitting over $200K and XRP shooting past $30 could actually become reality. That's the kind of scenario we're talking about here. Now, most of the analysts I follow aren't buying into this, but I do follow some really solid analysts who are totally on board with this idea. Either way, we'll find out soon enough. I still think we're going to be thrilled with how this cycle plays out. But man, if this actually happens, none of us, not me, not you, nobody is even close to being ready for that kind of ride. Just to be clear though, it's not most of the analysts I follow who think this way, so I'm trying not to get too excited. But hey, it could happen. I'll give it that. So check this out. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard about a Bitcoin price chart, and he's basically geeking out over it. He's like, how delightful, and it's a thing of beauty. You know how chart guys get when they see patterns they love. He's got this comparison going where it's 2 cycles ago on the left, and then modern times from last cycle on the right. He's actually talking about Ethereum on the right side, and he's saying, look at it go. Ethereum just broke out of its triangle pattern and is absolutely exploding, just like Bitcoin did back in 2017. Then he throws in this cheeky, keep shorting please bears. Classic trader trash talk right there. But here's what's really interesting about all this. This analyst is basically saying that what we're seeing with Ethereum right now doesn't look anything like last cycle. It's looking way more like what happened 2 cycles ago in 2017. And you know what? There have been XRP chart analysts saying the exact same thing, that XRP's current action looks way more like 2017 than the last cycle. Though honestly, I'm not as blown away by those XRP calls because, let's be real, of course it's going to look more like 2017. XRP was getting hammered by that whole SEC mess last cycle, so yeah, no kidding, it looks different now. But still, there's definitely some interesting overlap here with what these different analysts are seeing. Just throwing that out there. So Chart Analyst Mustache drops this post about altcoins, and he's basically calling out all the people already screaming, cycle top. He's like, hold up, Ethereum hasn't even hit its 2021 high yet, and you're already calling the top? His point is that the real up-only season for alts hasn't even kicked off yet. He's saying, sure, we're going to get corrections because that's just how these cycles work, but those dips, those are buying opportunities in his book. Then he ends it with excited, higher, much higher, which, let's be honest, is exactly what we all want to hear. And yeah, I'm totally on board with that thinking too. So Mikey Bull Crypto just dropped this Ethereum price chart, and he's talking about a MACD bullish cross on Ethereum. Now, MACD might sound like the hottest new rapper, but it's actually a momentum indicator that traders love to watch. Check out those little green candles poking their heads up. You can totally see what he's getting at with that bullish cross right there. This is just another sign pointing to us being pretty close to the end of this cycle. It really does make sense when you think about it. History has this funny way of repeating itself, and there's just too much lining up for it to be a coincidence. Look, nobody has a crystal ball here, and I'm not pretending I do. I'm just talking probabilities. But I'll go out on a limb and say I'm pretty darn confident we're almost at the finish line with this thing. When it finally breaks, it's going to be absolutely wild. And speaking of XRP, Mikey Bull also posted about XRP breaking out and retesting around $3.25. We're sitting a bit below that now, but honestly, looking back, this will probably just look like a tiny blip that didn't even matter. These little pullbacks are totally normal. I haven't seen a single XRP analyst worth their salt saying, that's it, cycle's over, pack it up. The few people saying stuff like that, well, let's just say those posts aren't going to age very well. I have a feeling some folks are going to be scrambling to delete their hot takes pretty soon. So the chart analyst crypto wizard just dropped another hot take. They're showing us two charts, both tracking Bitcoin dominance and market cap just from different time periods. The one on the right shows where we're sitting right now, while the left chart covers that wild ride from late 2017 through 2021. And get this, they're calling it, excited, the collapse has begun. For Bitcoin dominance, they're pretty excited about what they're seeing, saying, now that's what I call a beautiful breakout. Apparently, Bitcoin dominance just broke through its bear flag pattern, just like what happened back in 2021. Their prediction: this means Ethereum and other altcoins are about to take off even higher. Perfect. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, folks. When Bitcoin dominance starts tanking like this, that's your green light. Just yesterday, it was sitting around 59 point something percent. And while it's nudged up just a tiny bit today, I'm telling you, this is it. We're right at that sweet spot where it's about to take a nosedive. Here's the thing. Bitcoin's price might actually keep climbing, and I'm betting it will. But here's where it gets really exciting. All those altcoins are about to go absolutely nuts. Alt dominance is going to surge, and that includes XRP. I'm calling it now. XRP is going to be the star of this entire cycle. I seriously think it's going to crush pretty much every other coin in the top 100, or at least come damn close to it. So chart analyst CW dropped this update this morning, and wow, talk about timing. He's breaking down how XRP needed to flush out all those high leverage short positions that were piled up around $3.45. But here's the kicker. There were also tons of leveraged longs sitting pretty at $3.20. Well, guess what? I called that $3.20 price point, and boom, it actually dipped even lower to $3.16. All those folks playing with leverage, yeah, they got absolutely wrecked. Consider this your friendly PSA. Maybe don't play with fire, people. Look, you do you, but I'm staying far away from that leverage nonsense. Think about it. We're talking about crypto here. You can literally make thousands of percent gains just by buying and holding for a decent amount of time. If that's somehow not exciting enough for you, and you feel like you need to juice those returns with leverage, honestly, you might want to chat with someone about that. I mean, sure, lots of people do it, so it's normal in that sense, but normal doesn't mean smart. This kind of behavior is exactly how you get burned. Don't be that person. Chart analyst CW just posted another one, and this guy is fired up. He's spotting a bull flag pattern on XRP, which has him feeling super bullish about what's coming next. This is exactly why I keep telling you, yeah, we might be sitting in the red right now, but don't get comfortable down here because we're not staying put. No way, no how. We're about to absolutely rip to the upside. This little dip, it's just the calm before the storm. Chart analyst Dom just dropped an XRP update, and honestly, he's keeping it real about what just happened. The pump kind of fizzled out after that initial spike, but here's the thing, he's not even surprised. He's like, yeah, this is what XRP does literally every single time it pumps on news. Here's his take. When you get those crazy fast moves like we just saw, it creates what he calls an inefficiency in the price action. And guess what? The market always comes back to fill those gaps later. But here's the key part. As long as we're holding above $3.12, he's calling this forward progress. The real magic happens when we flip $3.33 into solid support. That's when Dom thinks we're looking at all-time highs. And you know what? This lines up perfectly with what I was just saying about that dip we're seeing right now. Dom's not worried, and neither am I. We're still cruising comfortably above $3, people. This thing is far from done, my friends, far from it. Chart analyst Cryptos just weighed in, and he's eyeing that same magic number everyone's talking about. He says if XRP can hold above this mega multi-year level and close above it on Sunday, we're looking at a rocket ship straight to new all-time highs. His target? $3.32. Wait a minute. That's basically identical to what Dom was saying at $3.33. And honestly, I'm seeing a bunch of analysts all circling around that same level. When multiple people are spotting the same thing, that usually means something. Now, here's the reality check. Look, I know crypto moves fast, like ridiculously fast sometimes, but asking XRP to climb back up to $3.32, $3.33 in the next few hours, that's a pretty tall order. Don't get me wrong, it's not impossible, and hey, it's Sunday. Sometimes we get those random Sunday pumps out of nowhere, but honestly, I don't usually put much faith in those weekend moves. I'm not banking on it happening today, and that's totally fine. Even if we don't hit that level, it's not game over or anything. But man, if we did get that weekly close above $3.32, now that would be one heck of a nice setup. Dark Defender just dropped another update, and this guy is all about those wave patterns. He's been tracking this ABC wave structure since way back in July after we hit that $3.66 peak, and he was calling for a drop to $2.85. Check this out. He nailed the A wave exactly as expected, and get this, the B wave topped out right at $3.33. There's that magical number again. I'm telling you, when you keep seeing the same level from multiple analysts, it's worth paying attention to. So according to his chart from August 7th, we're still riding this C wave, and once that wraps up, that's when he expects the real fireworks to begin. Now, what kind of fireworks are we talking about? Well, if you followed Dark Defender for more than 5 minutes, you know exactly what he's going to say. $5.85 in the short term. The guy mentions this target in literally every single post he makes. I'm not throwing shade here, just pointing out that he's been hammering this price point forever. Steph is Crypto just chimed in with another bullish call. XRP to $5 is imminent. This guy's keeping that optimism cranked up to 11, even with all the short-term choppiness we're seeing right now. And you know what? He's not alone in this. I'm seeing this same energy from a ton of analysts across the board. More Crypto Online just jumped in with another bullish take. Once XRP breaks above $3.40, he's eyeing that $5 range as the first major decision point. Same story we keep hearing, and here's the thing he's absolutely right about. There's going to be tons of thin air above these levels. What does that mean? Basically, there aren't many sell walls sitting up there waiting to slow things down. When that happens in crypto, you get those insane vertical moves that'll make your head spin. It's just how this market works. Totally normal, and it's definitely coming. Then chart analyst Zoom drops his update saying the 5-wave downward structure is done and dusted. His short-term target, XRP heading to $3.80 to $4 range. Another analyst with that same crazy optimism for the near term. And honestly, it all makes perfect sense when you look at the bigger picture. But wait, there's more. Ellie Martinez is thinking even bigger. She's calling XRP for $11 after breaking out of this bullish flag on the weekly chart. And you know what? Like I said from the beginning, I wouldn't be shocked at all if XRP actually hits double digits. Trade analyst Greg Crypto just went full beast mode with his latest post. This guy is feeling it big time. He's saying the chart is absolutely screaming at him. And get this, he thinks just a 777% surge is all we need to kick off this whole crazy ride. According to him, what we're seeing right now, it's just the appetizer. And his target, hold on to your hats, $28 for XRP. Look, I don't know if we'll actually hit that number, but here's the thing. It's not completely nuts, people. If that happens, I honestly won't be shocked. I really won't be. It's actually not that wild of an ask, especially if guys like Tech Dev are right about this cycle being more like 2017 when nobody was ready for what hit them. If that's the case, and we're really heading into that kind of explosive market, then yeah, $28 suddenly doesn't sound so crazy after all. We'll figure this out together as it unfolds. But seriously, if you're not feeling optimistic right now, I've got to ask, what's your deal? Thoughtful, drop a comment and let me know what I'm missing here. Oh, and obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't go making any buy or sell decisions based on what I'm saying. That would be a really, really bad idea.